The concept of race is a fabrication. It is a dangerous myth. Race is not biological, it is a social construct. It is a tool used to categorize and divide people based on arbitrary physical characteristics. These characteristics include skin color, hair texture, and facial features. Racial categories are not fixed. They vary across time and place. This fluidity further underscores the constructed nature of race. It is not a biological reality. The idea of race has real consequences. It creates and perpetuates social hierarchies. These hierarchies privilege some groups over others. This leads to discrimination and inequality. Understanding race as a social construct is essential. It allows us to challenge and dismantle racism. The historical backdrop of race is intricately woven with oppression. European colonialism used race to justify slavery and imperialism. They constructed a hierarchy. This hierarchy placed Europeans at the top. It relegated non-Europeans to inferior positions. Racial categories were used to exploit and control populations. It led to the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly removed from their homelands. They were subjected to centuries of brutal enslavement. The legacy of colonialism and slavery continues to this day. We see it in systemic racism. It impacts every aspect of society, from education to healthcare to the criminal justice system. To understand the persistence of racial inequality, we must confront its historical roots. Advances in genetics have shattered the myth of racial purity. Genetic studies reveal that human beings are remarkably similar. We share 99.9% of our DNA. There is more genetic variation within racial groups than between them. The concept of distinct racial categories breaks down at the genetic level. Gene flow and intermixing throughout human history have resulted in a complex and interconnected human family. There is no scientific basis for claiming racial superiority or purity. The idea of race is a social invention. It has been wrongly inscribed onto our bodies. Genetics provides powerful evidence against the biological reality of race. This scientific understanding should inform our efforts to create a more just and equitable society. The illusion of whiteness persists in contemporary society. Whiteness operates as a norm. It establishes an unearned sense of entitlement and privilege. It creates a social hierarchy. This hierarchy advantages those deemed white. It disadvantages those who are not. The narrative of whiteness is maintained through various mechanisms. These include representation in media, cultural norms, and institutional practices. These mechanisms reinforce the idea of white superiority. They perpetuate racial inequality. To dismantle the narrative of whiteness, we must engage in critical self-reflection. We must challenge our own biases. We must actively work to dismantle systems of privilege. This requires a commitment to racial justice and a willingness to cede power.